The galactic hegemony ships filled the space around Earth. Their massive cannons had turned blue oceans to steam and green forests to ash. Admiral Tahoe watched from the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. His face showed no emotion as the last human cities burned below. "The resistance has ended, Admiral," reported Captain Sunno. "Earth is defeated." Tahoe nodded. "And the escape vessels?" 23 attempted to flee. "We destroyed 21. 2 escaped our sensor range, but they cannot have gone far. The humans lack the technology for long-distance space travel." Tahoe turned away from the view screen. "It matters little. Without their homeworld, they will perish soon enough." 3 days later, the hegemony celebrated victory in the Grand Hall of the Emperor's Palace. Admiral Tahoe knelt before Emperor Doyun as the Star of Conquest was pinned to his chest. The metal gleamed under the bright lights of the Imperial Palace. "You have secured our dominance in this sector," Emperor Doyun announced. The humans were becoming problematic. Their rapid advancement would have threatened our position within a century. "They were resourceful," Tahoe admitted, "but ultimately primitive. They still fought with chemical weapons and nuclear devices." The Emperor smiled. "The galaxy is safer without them." Far away from the celebration, beyond the edge of hegemony-controlled space, 2 ships limped toward a distant star. Inside the lead vessel, Dr. Minji Park watched over 50,000 humans in suspended animation. Her eyes were red from crying, but her hands remained steady as she checked the life support systems. "We're approaching the Cygnus system," said Captain Junot. "Long-range scans show a habitable moon orbiting the 4th planet." Dr. Park nodded. "It will have to do. Earth is lost to us." "The hegemony won't find us here," Junot assured her. "This sector isn't on any of their charts." They named their new home New Terra. The moon orbited a massive gas giant, protected by its magnetic field. The first years were hard. They built underground shelters against the frequent storms. They planted seeds saved from Earth and adapted them to the alien soil. They mourned their lost world and worked to survive. In the 5th year, Dr. Park gathered the colony's leaders. "We must establish the Phoenix Protocol," she declared. "We cannot simply survive. We must plan for our return." The Phoenix Protocol became the foundation of their new society. Children learned about Earth and the hegemony's betrayal. Scientists worked tirelessly to advance human technology. Military leaders developed new strategies based on what they had learned from their defeat. Generations passed. New Terra flourished. The original shelters expanded into vast underground cities. Their technology surpassed what humans had achieved on Earth, driven by necessity and the burning desire to one day face their destroyers again. 300 years after the fall of Earth, Commander Juwu stood in the strategy room of New Terra's defense headquarters. As a direct descendant of Dr. Park, she had been raised on stories of Earth's destruction. Now she was ready to fulfill the promise made by her ancestors. "The scouting missions are complete," reported General Haiyan. "We have mapped the entire hegemony. Their technology has barely advanced since the destruction of Earth. They grew complacent without worthy rivals." Juwu studied the holographic map showing hegemony territory. Their empire spanned hundreds of worlds across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. "And our new ships. The gravity drive works perfectly," said Chief Engineer Maina. "We can travel 10 times faster than any hegemony vessel. Our shield technology makes us virtually invulnerable to their weapons. The phase cannons can disable their ships without destroying them." Juwu nodded. "We don't seek to become like them, genocidal conquerors. We seek justice, not mere revenge." "The fleet is ready," General Haiyan confirmed. 10 warships and 20 support vessels. Over 5,000 soldiers trained in advanced combat techniques. Our genetic enhancements give us advantages in strength, speed, and intelligence. Juwu walked to the window overlooking New Terra's capital city. In the central plaza stood the Earth Memorial, a perfect replica of their lost homeworld rendered in glowing blue crystal. For 3 centuries, her people had lived with the pain of exile, and the knowledge that their destroyers celebrated their supposed extinction. That night, Ju visited her grandmother, Elder Yuna, one of the few remaining humans who had been born on New Terra in its early days. "Tomorrow we leave," Ju told her. "We may not return for years." Yunha took her granddaughter's hands. "Remember what makes us human, Ju. The hegemony destroyed Earth because they feared us. Don't prove them right. We won't become monsters to defeat monsters," Ju promised. "Your great-great-grandmother saved our people," Yunha said. "She always believed we would return to the stars not as refugees, but as a power that could stand against the hegemony." The next morning, Ju addressed the crew of the flagship Phoenix Rising. 300 years ago, Admiral Tahoe of the Galactic Hegemony thought he had ended humanity. Today, we prove him wrong. The ships of the new Terran fleet rose from their underground hangars. Their sleek designs reflected no light, making them nearly invisible against the blackness of space. Inside, systems powered by dark energy hummed quietly. On the bridge of the Phoenix Rising, Ju gave the order that generations of humans had waited to hear. "Set course for hegemony space. Operation Phoenix begins now." As the ships accelerated away from New Terra, Ju looked at the faces of her crew. Some showed excitement, others determination. All carried the weight of Earth's memory. She thought of Admiral Tahoe, wondering if he still lived, kept alive by hegemony technology. Soon he would learn that humanity had not perished as he believed. The Phoenix Rising entered the gravity drive phase, vanishing from normal space. Humanity was returning to the stars, not as the primitive species the hegemony had tried to eradicate, but as something new, something stronger, more advanced, and determined to reclaim their rightful place in the galaxy. Station Commander Kijun of Hegemony Outpost 459 was bored. Nothing ever happened in this distant corner of the Empire. The small station orbited a lifeless moon, monitoring trade routes and scanning for pirate activity. Most days passed with nothing more exciting than routine supply deliveries. "Commander, sensors are detecting an unusual energy signature," reported Officer Doa, her voice suddenly tense. Kijun looked up from his reports. "What kind of signature?" "Unknown, sir. It's approaching at. This can't be right." Doa's fingers flew across her console. "The readings suggest it's moving at least 10 times faster than our fastest ships." Kijun stood and moved to the sensor station. "Pirates don't have that kind of technology. Neither does the hegemony." The main view screen flickered to life, showing a sleek vessel unlike any hegemony design. It had no visible engines, no weapon ports, and its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "They're hailing us," said Communications Officer Yunjin. "Put them through," ordered Kijun, straightening his uniform. The image on the screen changed. Kijun found himself looking at a face that made his blood freeze. Human. Female. With dark eyes that held centuries of resolve. "This is Commander Ju of the New Terran Alliance," she announced in perfect hegemony standard. "We come seeking diplomatic relations with the Galactic Hegemony." Kijun could barely speak. "Impossible. Humans are extinct. They were eliminated 3 centuries ago." Commander Ju smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "Reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated." "Sir," Officer Doa cried out, 3 more ships just appeared. They weren't there a second ago." The station's emergency alarms activated automatically as the defense systems detected the sudden appearance of 3 massive warships. They dwarfed the outpost, each one at least 5 times larger than a hegemony battlecruiser. "How did they cloak themselves from our sensors?" Kijun whispered. "We didn't use cloaking technology," Commander Ju explained. "We simply existed slightly out of phase with your reality until we chose to fully materialize." Kijun felt lightheaded. Such technology was theoretical at best in hegemony science. "What do you want?" "As I said, diplomatic relations. Please inform your superiors that humanity has returned. We will wait 3 standard days for a response from your emperor." The transmission ended. Kijun immediately sent an emergency message to Centauri Prime. Within hours, the news had spread across the empire. In the Grand Palace, Emperor Doyun raged at his advisors. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Admiral Taho assured me their species was eliminated." High Counselor Ju bowed deeply. "The historical records indicate 2 human vessels escaped the attack on Earth. We assumed they perished soon after. Obviously, they did not." The Emperor paced the polished floor. "And now they return with technology that surpasses our own. We've analyzed the sensor readings from Outpost 459, said Science Minister Miji. "Their ships appear to manipulate gravity itself for propulsion. They're powered by energy sources we can't identify. Our scans couldn't penetrate their shields." Admiral Songa, head of the Imperial Fleet, spoke next. "We should assemble our forces and eliminate them now, before they can pose a greater threat." The Emperor considered this. How did they advance so quickly? 3 centuries is nothing in technological development. "Necessity, perhaps," suggested Minister Miji. "We destroyed their homeworld. Their survival would have required rapid innovation." Before the Emperor could respond, the palace communication system chimed with an urgent alert. The Minister of Colonies appeared on screen, his face pale. "Your Majesty, we've lost contact with 3 worlds in the Orient sector." "Lost contact? Explain." "Terrace IV, Nova Gaia, and Proxima Colony. All communication ceased simultaneously. Our nearest patrol ships report unknown vessels in orbit around each world." The Emperor's advisors exchanged worried glances. Those 3 worlds shared one significant detail. They had all been human-settled planets before the annexation of Earth. After the war, the hegemony had relocated their human populations and replaced them with loyal imperial citizens. "Show me the patrol ship footage," ordered the Emperor. The view screen displayed a shaky image of new Terran ships hovering above Terrace IV. Smaller vessels shuttled between the ships and the planet's surface. "What are they doing?" asked the Emperor. "They appear to be evacuating our citizens," said Admiral Songa, sounding confused. "Not harming them. They're loading them onto transports and moving them to the nearby moonbase." 6 hours later, hegemony forces arrived at Terrace IV, ready for battle. They found the planet undefended. The new Terran ships had disappeared, leaving behind only a simple message broadcast on all frequencies. "This world returns to human stewardship. All former residents have been safely relocated with their personal belongings. We seek justice, not vengeance." On Centauri Prime, Emperor Doyun called an emergency meeting with the legendary Admiral Taho. Though over 3 centuries old life extension technology kept him alive and serving as a special advisor. His once youthful face was now deeply lined, but his eyes remained sharp. "You assured me the humans were destroyed," the Emperor said coldly. Admiral Taho bowed. "I believe they were, Your Majesty. Clearly, I was mistaken." "They've reclaimed 3 worlds without firing a single shot," said Admiral Songa. "Our forces couldn't even track their ships' movements. They appeared, completed their mission, and vanished before our fleet arrived." "What do you make of this?" the Emperor asked Taho. The old admiral considered carefully. "The humans I'd fought were resourceful, but technologically inferior. These humans," he shook his head, "they have evolved beyond our understanding." "What do they want?" demanded the Emperor. "They said they seek justice," reminded Minister Miji. Taho's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps, but remember, humans are emotional creatures. They have nursed this grievance for 3 centuries. I doubt they will be satisfied with reclaiming a few colonies." Later that night, Commander Juwu stood on the surface of Terrace IV, breathing air that humans had not breathed in centuries. Around her, crews were already setting up habitation units for the first wave of settlers from New Terra. 3 worlds reclaimed, said General Hyun, joining her, without a single casualty on either side. Juwu nodded. "The hegemony doesn't understand our approach. They expected us to attack like barbarians, to slaughter civilians as they did to Earth. What will they do next?" They'll send Admiral Taiho, Ju said with certainty. The architect of Earth's destruction will want to see the humans who survived his genocide. She looked up at the stars, thinking of New Terra and the generations who had lived and died never seeing Earth or the worlds humans had once called home. The Phoenix Protocol was working exactly as planned. The hegemony would soon learn that the humans they had tried to exterminate had become something far more formidable than the species they remembered. Admiral Taiho sat in his private chambers aboard the Imperial flagship Eternal Glory. At 342 years old, his body was thin and frail despite the life extension treatments. His mind, however, remained sharp. On his desk sat reports about the humans and their sudden return. He studied images of their ships and the 3 worlds they had reclaimed. "Enter," he called when a soft knock sounded at his door. His aide, Lieutenant Minnow, stepped inside. "Admiral, the Emperor requests your presence at the Emergency Council meeting." Taiho rose slowly. "Has there been another human action?" "No, sir. But the Emperor is concerned about their next move." The Imperial Council chamber was filled with nervous energy when Taiho arrived. Emperor Doyun sat on his elevated throne, surrounded by military leaders and government ministers. "Admiral Taiho," the Emperor said, "you know these humans better than anyone still living. What can we expect from them?" Taiho bowed and stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I have studied the reports carefully. These humans display technology far beyond our own, yet they have shown restraint. They evacuated our citizens rather than killing them." "A trick to appear benevolent," suggested Admiral Songa. "Perhaps," said Taiho, "but I fought against humans centuries ago. They were always unpredictable. They value mercy as a strength, not a weakness." "What do you suggest?" asked the Emperor. Taiho's thin lips curved into a smile. "Let me meet with them. As the one who led the campaign against Earth, I can assess their true intentions." Whispers spread through the council. Minister Jihu spoke up. "They would surely kill you on sight." "Admiral." "I think not," Taiho replied. "They are driven by revenge, yes, but they are still human, emotional, unpredictable, and surprisingly merciful. We can use this against them." The Emperor considered this. "Explain." "I will offer to negotiate, gain their trust, learn about their homeworld's location." Taiho's eyes gleamed. "While we talk of peace, we can prepare for war." 3 days later, Admiral Taiho's diplomatic vessel approached Neutral Station Alpha, a trading post in unclaimed space. The station had been evacuated except for a small security team. Commander Juwu had agreed to meet him there. As Taiho walked slowly down the corridor to the meeting room, he felt a strange mix of curiosity and anticipation. He had spent his career fighting aliens across the galaxy, but none had ever returned from extinction before. The doors slid open. Sitting at a simple table was Commander Juwu. She wore a dark uniform with a small blue Earth emblem on her collar. Next to her stood a tall man with the insignia of a general. "Admiral Taiho," she said, not rising. "The Butcher of Earth." Taiho bowed slightly. "Commander Juwu, you have my respect for what your people have accomplished." "We don't want your respect," said General Haiyun sharply. Juwu raised a hand to silence him. "Please, sit." Taiho sat across from her. He studied her face, looking for hatred or anger, but found only calm determination. "You've taken 3 our worlds." "We've reclaimed 3 human worlds," Juwu corrected. "Worlds that were ours before the hegemony invasion." "And what do you plan to take next?" Juwu leaned forward. "You believe we want revenge. That's only partly true. What we want is justice." She activated a holographic display showing a document. "This is the Phoenix Accord. We propose the following terms. The hegemony will acknowledge its crimes against Earth, pay reparations for 3 centuries of displacement, and cede control of all formerly human worlds, 17 planets in total." Taiho raised an eyebrow. "And in return?" "In return, the new Terran Alliance will share some of our technological advances and join the galactic community peacefully. No further worlds will be claimed. Tahoe pretended to consider the terms carefully. In truth, he had already decided his course of action. These terms are significant. I cannot approve them without the Emperor's consent. Of course, said Juwu. We will await his response. May I ask how humans survived? Tahoe said, It has troubled me for days. A small smile crossed Juwu's face. 2 ships escaped your blockade. They carried the best of humanity. Scientists, engineers, doctors, soldiers. They found a new home, far from hegemony space. And you've advanced remarkably in just 3 centuries. Necessity is a powerful motivator, Admiral. When your species faces extinction, you learn to innovate quickly. Tahoe nodded. I will present your terms to the Emperor. A formal response will follow. As he returned to his ship, Tahoe was already planning. The humans had revealed enough. They had a single homeworld, this New Terra. Destroy it, and their advanced fleet would be left without direction or purpose. Back on Centauri Prime, Tahoe met privately with Emperor Doyan. The humans offer terms, Your Majesty. Extremely unfavorable terms. And I recommend appearing to negotiate while I lead a special force to locate and destroy their homeworld. Tahoe displayed a star chart. Based on their ship movements and information gathered during our meeting, I believe their world lies somewhere in this region. The Emperor studied the map. That would require our fleet to travel beyond our normal patrol routes. Yes, we will need to move quietly, with our most advanced ships. And if you're discovered, Tahoe smiled thinly. The humans believe in their technological superiority. They won't expect an attack. 1 week later, Admiral Tahoe led a fleet of 30 warships into uncharted space. They moved slowly, maintaining communication silence. Advanced scouts searched system after system for signs of human activity. Admiral, reported Captain Sunno, our long-range probes have detected unusual energy readings from the 4th planet in the Cygnus system. Tahoe examined the data. Consistent with dark energy technology. That must be New Terra. The fleet approached cautiously. Initial scans showed a habitable moon orbiting a gas giant. Tahoe ordered the ships to battle positions. Weapons ready, Admiral, announced Captain Sunno. Shall we commence bombardment? Not yet, said Tahoe. Something isn't right. There are no ships in orbit, no defense platforms. Scan again. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Officer Doa shouted, Energy spike. Massive energy spike from the moon's surface. Around the fleet, space itself seemed to ripple. Hidden defense platforms materialized, surrounding the hegemony ships. A massive energy field engulfed the area, preventing retreat. It's a trap, Tahoe whispered. A communication channel opened. Commander Juwu's face appeared on screen. Admiral Tahoe, your predictability disappoints me. How did you know? Tahoe demanded. We've studied you for centuries. The Butcher of Earth would never choose peace when he could attempt another genocide. Tahoe's ships tried to fire their weapons, but nothing happened. Their engines failed. Their shields collapsed. Your ships are now powerless, Juwu explained. Our field negates hegemony technology. You attacked an empty system, Admiral. New Terra is elsewhere, safe and thriving. Tahoe stared at the screen, his ancient face showing real emotion for the first time. Fear. Don't worry, Juwu said. Unlike you, we don't destroy helpless enemies. Your crews will be returned safely to hegemony space. You, however, have a date with justice. Commander Juwu sat in her quarters aboard the Phoenix Rising. A holographic display showed Admiral Tahoe in his cell. The old man had not spoken since his capture. He simply sat on his bed, staring at the wall. He still won't eat? Asked General Hyun, who stood nearby. No, said Juwu. 300 years of hatred is difficult to swallow. She closed the display and opened a different one, showing a map of hegemony space. Thousands of small dots blinked across it. All sleeper agents are in position, reported Intelligence Director Minji. "They await your command." Juwu nodded. Taho's betrayal proves what we've always known. The hegemony cannot be trusted to honor any agreement. Operation Phoenix enters its final phase then, asked General Hyun. "Yes, send the activation code. All units, commence Operation Phoenix." Across hegemony space, the signal traveled. In the Imperial Naval Base on Rigel Prime, a maintenance worker named Dansu received the code on his hidden communicator. For 15 years, he had lived as a Regilian, his human features surgically altered, his skin tinted blue, his ears elongated. Nobody suspected his true identity. Dansu entered a restricted area of the base and placed a small device near the main power core. Similar devices were being placed in military installations throughout the Empire at that very moment. Each contained technology developed on New Terra, tiny quantum disruptors that affected only hegemony energy systems. On the hegemony defense platform orbiting Centaurid Prime, Security Officer Neri received the same signal. Like Dansu, she had lived undercover for years. She entered her authorization code into the weapons control system and uploaded a special program. Across the hegemony, at precisely the same moment, the plan unfolded. Admiral Songa was in the middle of a strategy meeting at Imperial Military Headquarters when the lights went out. Emergency power failed to activate. "What's happening?" he demanded. A technician frantically worked at his console. "Sir, the power core has shut down. All backup systems are offline." "How is that possible?" "They're on separate circuits." Similar scenes played out across hegemony space. On Proxima Station, the massive defense cannons went silent. On Ta City, the Fleet Communications Center lost all connection to ships in the field. On Deneb Colony, the planetary shield generators failed. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Doyun was receiving reports of the widespread failures when his chief of security burst into the throne room. "Your Majesty, we've detected multiple unidentified ships entering the system. They've bypassed all our outer defenses." The Emperor rose from his throne. "How many ships?" "At least 50, sir. And our weapons aren't responding." Outside the palace windows, the Emperor could see strange vessels appearing in the sky above the capital city. Unlike the aggressive displays of typical invaders, these ships moved silently into position, their weapons not firing, but clearly ready. "Get me off-world immediately," the Emperor ordered. "Prepare my personal shuttle." As the Emperor fled through a secret passage, Commander Juwu led the new Terran forces toward the capital. The Phoenix Rising and its escort ships moved unopposed through hegemony airspace. Ground troops transported down to secure key locations. "All military targets neutralized," reported General Hyun. "No casualties on either side." "And civilian areas?" asked Juwu. "Completely untouched, as ordered. We're receiving reports that citizens are remaining in their homes. There's no panic." Juwu nodded with satisfaction. The Emperor. His shuttle was detected leaving the palace. "We could intercept." "No," Juwu said firmly. "Let him run. We didn't come to capture or kill their leader. We came to end their empire." The new Terran forces entered the Imperial Palace without resistance. The grand halls, built to intimidate visitors with their enormous scale and opulent decorations, were eerily empty. Guards had abandoned their posts when their weapons stopped working. Juwu walked through the palace, her footsteps echoing on the polished stone floors. She had seen this place in historical records, the heart of the empire that had destroyed Earth. Now she was here, not as a conqueror, but as the instrument of justice. The massive doors to the throne room stood open. Inside, Juwu expected to find remnants of the imperial court, perhaps hiding or preparing for the worst. Instead, she found a group of aliens of various species standing calmly around the empty throne. One stepped forward, a tall, green-skinned Altarian with 4 arms. "Commander Juwu, I presume." "I am Ambassador Solas of Altair." Juwu nodded cautiously. "You don't seem surprised to see us." "We've been expecting someone to challenge the hegemony for centuries," said Solus. "Though I admit, we never expected it would be humans." Another delegate, a small reptilian being, spoke up. "The hegemony has fallen. Its military is disabled. Its emperor fled. Perhaps it's time for a new galactic order, one built on justice rather than conquest." Juwu looked around at the gathered representatives. "You're not loyal to the Empire." Solus laughed, a sound like tinkling bells. "The hegemony conquered our worlds just as they conquered yours. They forced us into their empire, took our resources, imposed their rule. We've been waiting for this day." "We reached out to representatives from all 57 member worlds of the hegemony," explained a third delegate, a furry proximan. "Many of us have been working secretly for years to prepare for the Empire's fall." Juwu was stunned. In all the planning for Operation Phoenix, they had considered the hegemony's military response, the Emperor's reaction, even civilian unrest. They had never considered that other species might welcome humanity's return. "What are you proposing?" she asked. "A council," said Solus, "a true alliance of worlds, where no single species dominates others, where we work together as equals." General Haiyan, who had been listening silently, whispered to Juwu, "This could change everything. We plan to impose terms. They're offering partnership." Juwu nodded. She turned back to the gathered delegates. The new Terran alliance would be interested in discussing such a council. But first, we must ensure the hegemony's military threat is truly neutralized. "Your sleeper agents were remarkably effective," said the Proximan delegate. "The disruptors they planted have rendered hegemony technology useless throughout the Empire. Their military has no ships, no weapons, no communications." "How did you know about our agents?" asked Juwu, surprised. Solus smiled. "Commander, did you think humans were the only ones with reasons to see the hegemony fall? We've had our own agents, our own resistance movements. When your people began to move against the Empire, we saw our opportunity." For the first time since Operation Phoenix began, Juwu felt a sense of genuine hope. They had come seeking justice for Earth, expecting to fight alone. Instead, they found allies who shared their vision of a better galaxy. "The Phoenix rises not just for humanity," she said, "but for all peoples who have suffered under imperial rule." The sunrise over New Terra painted the sky in shades of purple and gold. Chancellor Juwu stood at the window of her office, watching the new day begin. 5 years had passed since Operation Phoenix succeeded. 5 years of rebuilding, negotiating, and healing. Today marked the official formation of the Interstellar Concordat. Representatives from 100 worlds had gathered for the ceremony. The former galactic hegemony was now a memory, replaced by something better. "Chancellor, it's time," said Minji, now her chief advisor. Juwu nodded and turned from the window. Her simple black uniform bore the new emblem of the Concordat, a stylized phoenix rising above a field of stars. "Is everything ready at the memorial site?" Juwu asked. "Yes. The delegates are assembling now." Minji hesitated. "Admiral Taiho is also there." Juwu's expression remained neutral. "And how is he adapting?" "As well as can be expected. He rarely speaks, but he attends all the history lessons. He sits through testimonies from survivors without complaint." When they had captured Taiho, many had called for his execution. 3 centuries of anger demanded justice. But Juwu had chosen a different path. Killing him would be too easy, she had told the Provisional Council. "Let him live among us. Let him learn who we really are, the people he tried to destroy." The memorial site was located in the central plaza of New Terra's capital city. A massive sculpture of Earth stood at its center, crafted from blue crystal and surrounded by smaller representations of the 17 human colony worlds. Thousands of people gathered around it. Juwu saw Admiral Taiho seated in the front row. The once proud military leader looked small now, his body showing every one of his 347 years, despite the life extension technology. His eyes, however, remained alert, watching everything. On the stage, representatives from each member world of the new Concordat waited. There was Ambassador Solus from Altair, the reptilian delegate from Proxima, and dozens of others, some from former hegemony worlds, others from independent systems that had chosen to join the new alliance. Jiwoo took her place at the podium. The crowd fell silent. 5 years ago, humanity returned from exile, she began. We came seeking justice for a world destroyed, a people nearly exterminated. What we found was not just the empire that had wronged us, but countless others who had suffered under its rule. She gestured to the delegates behind her. Together, we have built something new. The Interstellar Concordat stands for cooperation, not domination, for mutual respect, not subjugation. Jiwoo looked directly at Taiho as she continued. Human technology has transformed travel, communication, and medicine throughout former imperial space. Worlds that once struggled under hegemony taxation now thrive. Species that were forbidden to interact now exchange knowledge freely. The old admiral's face revealed nothing, but he did not look away. Some asked why we shared our advances so freely with former enemies. Jiwoo said, "The answer is simple. Technology without wisdom leads to destruction. We learned this lesson during our centuries of isolation. Our true strength was never in our ships or weapons, but in our resilience, our creativity, and our capacity for forgiveness." As she spoke, a small ship landed near the plaza. General Haiyan approached the stage and whispered urgently in Jiwoo's ear. Her eyes widened slightly, but she continued her address without interruption. 3 centuries ago, humanity faced extinction. We survived not just through technology or military strength, but through our greatest capacity to adapt, to evolve, and ultimately to forgive. Our revenge against the hegemony was not destruction, but transformation. We didn't return to burn down the galaxy, but to rebuild it better than before. The crowd erupted in applause. Representatives from each world came forward to sign the Concordat Charter, a simple document that established the new Federation of Equals. When the ceremony concluded, Jiwoo approached Admiral Taiho. For 5 years, they had barely spoken, though he had lived on New Terra, learning human history and witnessing the culture he had tried to eradicate. "What do you think of our revenge, Admiral?" she asked quietly. Taiho looked up at her. "It is not what I expected." "No, I would have destroyed you completely," he admitted. "You chose to build instead. That is the difference between us," Jiwoo said. "And why your empire fell while we endured." Taiho nodded slowly. "I have learned much living among you. Your history classes speak of Earth with such love, yet none living ever saw it. Your people maintain traditions from a world turned to ash centuries ago. Earth lives in us," Jiwoo said. "As long as humans exist, Earth is not truly gone." After Taiho was escorted away, Jiwoo joined General Haiyan in a private room. "Tell me about this signal," she said. Haiyan activated a holographic display showing strange energy patterns. "It originated from beyond the galaxy's edge, Chancellor. Nothing like it has ever been recorded. Artificial. Almost certainly. The pattern repeats too precisely to be natural." Jiwoo studied the display. First contact with a truly alien intelligence. Possibly, or perhaps something else entirely. Haiyan looked concerned. "If it's a new threat, then we will face it together," Jiwoo finished. "The Concordat is stronger than the hegemony ever was, because we stand as equals, not master and slave." That evening, Jiwoo visited the Earth Memorial alone. She placed her hand on the cool crystal surface, thinking of the homeworld she had never seen but had fought to honor. The memorial contained soil samples recovered from Taiho's private collection. The Admiral had kept them as trophies after Earth's destruction. Now they were sacred relics, connecting New Terra to old Earth. "We did it," she whispered to the monument. "We reclaimed our place in the galaxy. Not through destruction, but through creation." As stars appeared in the New Terran sky, Juwu thought about the signal from beyond the galaxy. New challenges awaited, but humanity would not face them alone. The revenge they had sought wasn't destruction. It was building something better from the ashes of what had destroyed them. In the end, that was the greatest victory of all.